All right, I think we're gonna get this panel going. Other people that are still out, we'll let them filter back in. So apologize for the little delay here, but we're gonna get back on track. And we have a panel being led once again by Mr. Josh Zolin.
Yeah. Hello for the second time. All right, so now we got all of our fine panelists up here. We'll go ahead and introduce everyone, and then I'll briefly introduce myself again, just giving a little bit more information about my YouTube channel before we get into the questioning. So up first, we've got Mr. Bobby Byvid, designer and director of digital content for Olympic store fixtures, with 20 years experience in developing marketing programs for brand awareness, 5 years in digital marketing, and recently launched the burger concept via a digital marketing campaign, and is also currently developing programming for food service dealers. Bobby, round of applause for Bobby. Next up, we've got Eric Koenig, VP of Strategic Marketing for Heritage Food Service. Some of you may know Eric already. I'm sure a lot of people in here work with Heritage. He's worked with digital marketing across several different brands, including Colgate and Butterball. He's done everything from social media to SEM to YouTube, and he sees unlimited potential in brand positioning with YouTube. Let's give it up for Eric, please. So next up is the guy you all know but don't know you know. His name is Angel Key Rose, Director of Marketing for the Fed Group and Malachi Parts and Service. He's been doing professional videography and digital marketing for about 5 years, and he created, produced, and edited over 300 videos for Malachi Parts and Service, wait for it, in a single year. Unbelievable. Give it up for Angel. And then last but not least, Scott Carmichael, Community Manager and Brand Ambassador for TechTown. He is a former executive editor of AOL Travel, and he's done digital marketing and was the content manager for GoGo InFlight, creating content from all over the world. And he's done everything on YouTube from animated how-to videos to live broadcasts from the Arctic Circle. Screw that, buddy. Yeah. Let's give it up for Scott.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so can I get my PowerPoint? There it is. All right. So, again, I'm Josh. I'm the CEO of Windy City Equipment Service out of Phoenix, Arizona. I started a YouTube channel in 2013, one of the first ones to do it in the industry, and has proven to be very successful in that. That's why I was asked to lead this panel. Right now, it's no Gary Vee or anything like that, but for an industry-specific YouTube channel with 7,000 subscribers, it's not bad. We average about, that number is wrong, I did that number about 3 months ago, but right now we're averaging about 175 subscribers per month. Over 300 videos published and produced, and everything from repairs to advice to podcasts, blogs, how-tos, all of that. Some people love me for it, some people hate me for it. You know, you be the judge. But the biggest thing is that we're able to help people all around the world with the YouTube videos that we have up there. So, without further ado, let's get into the questions. First thing that not many people know about YouTube is it's actually the second largest search engine in the world, clocking in at around 3.2 billion searches per month. 6 out of 10 people prefer online video platforms to live TV. And on mobile alone, not including desktop, YouTube reaches more 18 to 49-year-olds than any broadcast or TV network. Unbelievable. It's also said that by 2025, half of the viewers under the age of 32 will actually not subscribe to a paid TV service. So the question is, what on earth does this mean for us? Bobby, let's start with you.
I mean, I don't know. I think this one's sort of simple. I mean, I got some advice one time when I was starting a couple different businesses, and the advice was, look what the next generation is doing. You know, watch what your kids are doing. Watch what other people are doing. Watch how their habits are changing. Watch how their behavior is changing. I have 3 kiddos at home, and you know, they don't watch too much scripted programming anymore. You know, they're watching stuff that's more authentic. They're watching stuff that's original. They're watching stuff that's true to the people that are creating the content. And that's something that I see. I think we have a world of content creators out there, whether it's food service industry or not, you know, any industry that you're in. We have the tools, we have the capability to produce high quality content. Everyone has an amazing story. Everyone has an original story. And I just think that's something that people are buying into, you know, unless you're, you know, The Walking Dead or This Is Us, guilty. You know, there's a few scripted programs out there that are great, but I just, you know, I find myself, you know, in the ocean of YouTube, like researching and watching and being interested in and buying into topics that I had no idea that I would be. So I just think the bandwidth is unbelievable, you know?
Absolutely agree. Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate you saying that. I agree 100%. Eric, what do you think?
For me, you know, I look at YouTube and what does this mean for our industry moving forward? I look at it as a brand stewardship opportunity. It's how do we engage and activate our brands, and we all are personal brands and we have our company brands, and how we take what is authentic about what we like to do, extend that into the companies that we put our heart and souls into, and share that with the world. So when we think about, you know, the videos that we put out, you know, it's important that not only are we staying true to what we're doing, but do it in a consistent fashion, because that consistency is really going to also help build your brand and build your personal connection to your audiences, because, you know, we're all looking for a tribe, you know, and brand is very much about tribe. And the more you can connect what you're doing to reflect back your viewers, the more followers you're going to get. So you're really going to build your tribe out. And so that's really what we're after tribes.
Well said. Thank you. Angel, what do you think?
I think Eric hit the nail on the head when he said, you know, this is about tribes. For me, I kind of look at it as from a consumer perspective, since I'm new to the industry. And the way I see it is people want to interact with people that they work with, people that they're a part of, but they don't necessarily even have to be in the room to do that. I think YouTube is a big answer to that, where it could be solutions to some industry problems. It could be ways to address specific narratives about your company or about your personal brand. And I think it's providing a new solution to the way we do those things.
What do you think, and I'm going to get to you, Scott. Don't you worry. What do you think about the entertainment value, though? You know, we're talking here about how essentially YouTube is going to take over broadcast television, and more people are going to pay attention to YouTube than to their own TV. So how important is the entertainment value? You know, not to take away from the first question, I'm just curious.
No, of course. I'll just use a little anecdote. For the first time this year, I watched the Super Bowl through YouTube instead of just like live on Fox.
You serious?
And, yeah, and I think the entertainment value is something that's a little bit undervalued when it comes to a corporate brand or corporate companies, just because you don't want to be silly. Yeah, and I think there's an importance to being entertaining, just to value the user, value the consumer, because if not, you're going to lose people's attention very rapidly. So whereas people won't watch maybe more than half an hour or an hour of a TV show, people will watch a podcast or listen to a podcast for 3 hours on end. So to me, it has to be half and half. It has to be entertaining, but it has to deliver some sort of value as well. And it's a big part of everything that you do. Yeah.
Absolutely. Eric, you want to add something?
Yeah, like for me, you know, when I look at it, it's about balance, you know. So when we're bringing entertainment into the spaces and we're talking about, you know, our brand and how we want to reflect back into the world, you know, brands are emotional creatures. Brands are about, you know, connecting with people. So how do you pull what could be really entertaining about what we do in the industry every day, which is go into hot, messy, sometimes volatile situations and pull that out? Because there's entertainment value. You know, Survivors taught us how to really be entertained by uncomfortable situations. So what can we bring and entertain the populace with there. So I mean, I think it is really about balance. So I agree. It's there's the entertainment. What are we delivering? Some of it's going to just be entertainment, but then you can say, all right, here is a video on how to avoid that hot, sticky mess that you just watched.
Yeah, I think to add on to that and to your point, Rich and I are kind of obsessed with Mike Rowe and Dirty Jobs, just because it captured that essence of the blue collar worker just diving into their industry, whether it be super niche or not, and just making that whole thing entertaining. And it's still informing you. It's still showing you a new side of life. Most people have no idea this industry exists. I didn't when I first got involved. I had to ask Rich for a week what he actually did. I'm still working on it.
Scott, why don't you weigh in on this?
Entertainment, first of all, don't force it. Just because your kids are watching a guy jumping in a swimming pool filled with jelly beans does not mean that you have to incorporate that into your videos. YouTube's just like television. There's channels that are entertaining, then there's channels that are showing animals eating each other. There's a little bit for everyone. There's no need to force entertainment into your brand. So if there's room for it, perfectly fine, but not every brand can get away with it, or not every brand should. So don't force it, because people will very quickly pick up on it.
Yeah, I just like to echo this notion of balance that you guys said, because I think that's key. I mean, right, wrong, or indifferent. I mean, that's something that's really guided my process and guided our process. It's like everything that we do, I'm trying to figure out, like, how do I connect on a certain level, just from the human experience from Bobby, I mean, through the brand, but from myself. What kind of value are we providing? Are we actually, teaching something or whatever? And then how are we entertaining people? And I think that, and to your point about not forcing, I think this is part of my personality, so it's something that felt natural. So I mean, like, if I have anything, to say up here, it's like, just, you have to figure out sort of what you feel really good doing, what you feel comfortable doing, what you feel like you have a particular skill. I mean, I walked around NRA last year with a t-shirt that said "Fry Sexual" on it.
And that's how I met you.
Right, that's how we met, yeah. So like, and I was like debating, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I should walk around the floor, this, but it was amazing to see how much, and it was just in jest, but it was amazing to see how much engagement it got, all these pictures I'm taking with people. I made so many awesome connections in the industry, we're just laughing together, different designers and architects, and it was fantastic. So I think, whatever your sort of core pillars are, I think you have to sort of become self-aware, look in the mirror, and just figure out what you feel comfortable doing. And I kind of feel comfortable being a goofball, so it's
I think
cool.
You're great at that as well, because I remember seeing a video, I think you were wearing an alien mask or something like that.
I danced with an alien to some 80s music.
Danced
in
with
a
an
video,
alien,
yeah.
that's what it was.
Talking about a Randall pizza prep table, like how, And people were calling me, they're like, "That's too much, Bobby. I think that's too much." I'm like, "It's not." I'm like, "Just trust me, it's not."
It's being mentioned here, so.
So yeah.
So there's also a sense, I guess, of responsibility that we need to have with this kind of stuff too. And there's a line I think that we need to walk between entertainment and education to make sure that there's a balance of both, like what you guys have all said. So that's great. I appreciate those responses. I think that there's a lot of value in what you guys said there. So we're going to move on to the next question here, which is about YouTube as a social media platform itself. So it is actually, believe it or not, the second largest social media platform with about 1.9 billion subscribers right now. And twice as many eyes, by the way, for those of you keeping count. It can be argued that it's the single most difficult platform, though, to gain those subscribers. You see a lot of YouTube channels out there, with beautiful videos, but 4 or 5 followers, 4 or 5 subscribers. So, guys, what do you think separates the channels that don't have an abundant following from those that do? Eric, why don't we start with you on this one?
Again, I'll go back to balance. It's that entertainment versus content that really delivers and connects with the individuals, and the promotion of how you connect with the individuals. I think like you said, there are a lot of really beautiful videos out there with zero followers, because they're not looking at the brand that they're putting out there and saying, is this going to connect with somebody? What are they doing from a content or entertainment perspective that is going to connect with the people that they're looking for. And, you know, there's instances upon instances of wonderful stuff that just doesn't make it. You know, I mean, honestly, Vincent van Gogh didn't connect with art, you know, art critics, you know, before he committed suicide. After he committed suicide, it was fantastic.
Do we need to add a disclaimer here?
Yeah, I was gonna say, where are we going with this, Eric?
I'm not advocating. No, but you know, but really, you know, just following your passion doesn't always get it done. You have to also look at your audience that you're trying to attract, and say, this is their passion. I need to reflect that in, you know, and it may not be your full passion, or a component of it is your full passion, but you really need to make sure that when you're looking and doing the research of who you want to have as your followers, hit those buttons and make sure that you're delivering that in the video.
It's very, very good advice. Angel, I'm excited to hear from you on this, because I know that, you and Rich started that YouTube channel not long ago, and it seems to be gaining ground. So what's your opinion on this?
What pops out to me, I think, more than anything is consistency. YouTube really rewards somebody that posts on a consistent schedule, whether that be twice a week, 3 times a week, once a week. But it has to be a relatively frequent and consistent thing. Like once a month, really, YouTube won't really care about that. But I think it's wired so that if you care about your channel and you're putting the effort into it, then YouTube will show it to more people, and it'll come up in the search results a lot more. So some of the things that we've tried to tackle were to have different days will be essentially different channels within our network, which is our YouTube channel. And so Fridays are Gold Collar Fridays, Tuesdays are Tip Tuesday, and this way people get the variety, and maybe they only like one of them, and they can tune in for that 1 week, or for that one day of the week, and then the rest, it would just hit minuscule different audiences within the same realm of food equipment, anything food related.
I think a lot of getting your numbers comes down to how you're running your channel. So too many companies have good content, but only ever post it on the company blog. They don't promote their actual channel at all, so they're not driving subscribers. They're not pushing for people to subscribe. People know that they get the next video by going to the company blog. Other companies only put out videos that are relevant to people who are searching for them. Most, how-to videos, how to fix stuff, tips, tricks. Those aren't videos that you're going to subscribe to because, you found it because you searched for it. So, going back to what Angel said, consistency, continue posting, take people away from your company blog, get them onto the YouTube channel, and just flat out ask for people to sign up, subscribe, get notifications, turn yourself into a 15-year-old kid and say, hit that button and just, if you ask, you're going to get it. It's that simple. If you just hope that they're going to subscribe, then, you're going to lose 90% of them who are just not going to bother.
Yeah, I think inclusion is a big part of it too. People want to feel included into your movement. A lot of times when I'm just watching content on YouTube just for fun, it makes me feel like I'm a part of what they're doing, which is a big reason why podcasts are so big. I feel like I'm in the room with people that are having interesting conversations. So when you're putting out your content, it's really important to address the people that are going to listen and what they may be thinking and how they may react to certain things, and address those things in real time. And that'll help them be like, okay, these people understand me, they get me, let me subscribe because this is part of my content base now.
So what about, you can separate into different categories on YouTube. What about separating different pieces of information for different listeners or different subscribers? Do you think that that's a viable option as far as from gaining subscribers to try to reach a broader audience, or how does that compare to a niche?
Yeah, I think it's super important just because it's searchability at the end of the day. If you, we do pizza reviews, if our pizza reviews are intermingled with, how to replace a certain part of an oven, it's not going to kind of mesh well together. So we like to have the playlist set up so that if you like the pizza reviews, the next thing suggested is going to be the pizza reviews. And if you're about the how-to stuff on the technician side, then that's the next thing you're going to get, and you're going to consistently get that because we have a back catalog of videos that are about just that subject. So I think it's very important, and it's not hard to do at all when it comes to your YouTube channel. it just takes some elbow grease.
Good info. Good info. Bobby? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple things. I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that these guys talked about, I completely fail at, and that's just, and that's only. I mean, I think if we sort of like look at things in phases, I mean, just like kind of reverse engineer it a little bit. Like phase one for us was just sort of analyzing the business and figuring out what do we want to talk about, like what are we doing on an everyday basis that we want to talk about, and then sort of building it from there. But even before that, I think that like it's easy to try to figure out like it's easy to talk about like algorithms and try to figure all that stuff out, whatever. And for me, it's about just starting with creating high quality content, because I think something I read recently that I thought was great was that every social media site wants to keep you on their site. They're gonna build algorithms to keep the high quality content there and push it. So instead of sort of like racking our brain and never doing anything, it's about number one, just producing high quality stuff. And that doesn't mean like, high production value stuff that we were talking about earlier. It doesn't necessarily mean high production value, just high quality in whatever form. That's the first thing. The second thing, which you guys just touched on, to me is part of my process right now, which is, like the way we got started is, number one, analyzing the business and everything we do, right? So, we're an equipment dealer in Chicago, Illinois, and we do design work, and we have a service department, and we have a showroom, and there's like a lot of stuff to talk about, right? It's everything from talking about the equipment, talking about the design, talking about how to lay out a restaurant, talking with chefs about their thought processes and the type of equipment that they specify, and talking to the service team and getting insight from them. And so there's just so much stuff to talk about. And I think for us it was, number one, analyzing all the different things that we could create content around. Number one, and analyzing all the different forms that it could be created. Something could be a podcast, something could be more tactical, granular fieldwork videos that we're working on that don't need to be overly produced. Core content that mean more highly produced, more like Adobe Premiere versus apps on your phone and stuff like that. So for us, it was identifying that and then looking at all the different channels, YouTube specifically, where this stuff can live in so many different forms, in so many different playlists, and so many different types of programming. So for me, it's right now, which I think maybe a lot of you guys are just crossing the starting line, and that's how we're crossing the starting line. It's just analyze, and then kind of create around it.
That's good insight, and I want to dissect a part of it because we've still got a couple minutes left on this question. You said high quality content, and but not necessarily talking just about production value. Since a lot of people in this room, I would assume, are here because they want to learn how to do this stuff. What makes something high quality? Where we talked about it briefly in the balance between entertainment and information, but what's the recipe for a high quality video?
I don't know. I don't know if I can define it as much as I can say is for me it's just putting stuff out there and seeing what people respond to, and then I think reacting to the response and starting the feedback loop. I mean, the more that I educate somebody on a particular piece of equipment or process, the more that I entertain them, and the more that I connect. It seems those kind of three pillars that are in my mind all the time. I mean, we just started a podcast with chefs. The chefs that we have relationships in with Chicago, and we're talking as much about the food service industry as we're talking about life, and just relating our life experiences back to the way that we build cultures inside the restaurant, inside the kitchen, inside our team, and that seems to work well. And then I think aggregating as much people around a particular piece of content that will intend that in turn then share it and then be a part of it, I think works really well. So the more the merrier.
I don't think there's a single element of a video that makes it high quality. High quality means good broadcast quality means your audio is not recorded with a phone that's 20 feet away. You got a bit of lighting. They don't need a studio, but put a bit of effort into it. Quality means the quality of the content itself is good. What are you talking about? Are you giving people the right answer? Are you explaining it in a way that the viewer understands it? Quality means paying attention to the SEO behind it. You're adding the right keywords, you're adding hashtags to it, or you're running it through something like TubeBuddy to make sure that you're publishing it correctly, you're getting a good intro clip. And then following up, you're putting it out on all your social media channels. Are you talking about it continuously? You're adding it to a repository of evergreen content that you could, that's quality. I don't think there's one piece of a video that you can say, well, that's quality. You could have somebody make an incredible broadcast clip. You could, bring in Oliver Stone to help produce it. And if you don't promote it, it's going to go nowhere.
Yeah.
So just because the video is quality does not make the piece of content quality. Quality is looking at every piece of that YouTube clip that you're making, and from start to finish, paying attention to it. That makes quality. And I think your viewers will find that, because they'll find it when they search for it on Google. They'll find it if they search for it on YouTube. They'll find it if they pay attention to your Facebook page or your Twitter or your Instagram. When they go to it, all the keywords are there. That makes for a quality video.
Very well said.
I mean,
Scott,
it's also really about what moment are you addressing? Are you addressing something that is 3 weeks ago, or are you addressing something that is at least resonant in somebody's mind? So when you think about the quality of the content, what problem are you solving? What moment are you in? And the more in the moment you are, the higher opportunity you're going to get to attract that follower and get them and say, yeah, I just experienced this, or all right, you get me. I'm going to keep paying attention to you, because video is ongoing market research. The audience will tell you where and what types of content they really want to get at by just their, everything that Scott said, is a big component of it, but they'll give you the clues. It's ongoing market research. And so, for me, I would just stay in the moment, and address a question, some of the things that we work with on manufacturers is like, how do I get my tech guys off the phone faster? Because they're in a moment. And so here's a video to address the moment, and it's stuff like that really helps to drive the quality.
You guys paying attention? This is really good stuff. All right, so we're going to go on to the next question, because I'm sure some of you in here are wondering, well, what about money? He hasn't talked about money yet. And I want to bring this up. So monetization is a very real possibility on YouTube. Getting paid to run ads on your channel, that is. In fact, the single highest earning YouTuber to date is this kid right here, Ryan Kaji. Anybody with kids, little kids in the room will know exactly who this. You're probably angry at him like I am. I mean, he's an innocent kid, I understand, but gosh. So as of 2018, in 2018, he grossed $22 million in ad revenue. As of October 2019, this kid is 8 years old. 8 years old, 22 million, for playing with toys and convincing me to buy them for my kids. So I ask this to the panelists: is this a fluke, or is this a testament to the possibilities that exist on this platform?
Yeah, I think for the most part, when YouTube was first starting, it was very high possibility you could be making your full-time living just with ad revenue on YouTube. As the platform evolved, it became less about that and more about internal sponsors for your videos. So people would sponsor your content, and then you would talk about your sponsor within your content, only because they started putting up requirements talking about exactly how many viewers or followers you needed in order to start gaining ad revenue from YouTube itself. So in the beginning of it, you could be receiving 37 cents checks from YouTube every month. And nowadays you really can't do much.
YouTube's numbers came out for the first time. They talked about the creator share. So 18 billion in revenue, 8 billion of that went to the creators. And if I'm not mistaken, there are 1,500 channels with 1 million subscribers or more. And they're making on average, $3,000 to $4,000 a month. So, do the math, picture where you are in that. And could you make money? Sure. Will you make money off YouTube themselves? No. I don't think any of us here are going to. But that doesn't mean that there are no ways to make money. There's plenty of other opportunities. If you have a relationship with a certain manufacturer, or maybe there's a company that you buy a lot of tools from, those are all companies that could be potential sponsorship opportunities. So, Ryan makes $22 million off YouTube, but he probably made twice that just off his licensing deal to get his toys into Target.
Yeah.
So I think that the vast majority of money coming into the creators nowadays is coming from other places, whether they're running in-clip ads for them, or they're just talking about, hey, this video is sponsored by so-and-so. There's money to be made. You know, even just inserting a clip at the beginning about a VPN, for example. Those companies on average are paying $35 per sign up. Now that may not be relevant to your brand, but I'm sure you can find ones out there who are willing to say, you know, okay, you've got, you know, 1,000 subscribers, but they are 100% in my target audience. To me, that's worth something. So I'm going to give you some money. YouTube won't give it to you probably, but you'll find someone who will.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a fluke. You know, brands go where the eyes are, you know, and they're looking for immediacy, and they're looking for, again, getting back to that, you know, that moment of need or want, you know. And as we diversify marketing programs and move away from, you know, traditional print and all that into all of the different channels that we now have access to, brands will follow. So money will be, they will, you know, P&G will they will fund whatever they need to fund to sell more Tide, you know. And you know, brands know this. You know, brands know that the competition for eyes is really where it's at, and getting in there in the right channel with the right person who connects with the other set of people that are in that tribe is a money-making opportunity.
I mean, just a little, I guess, story as far as YouTube is concerned. There's a very big YouTuber. I think he has 50 million people subscribed. He gets paid on average about $1 million for a 4-minute video from Chipotle in order to mention Chipotle in their videos.
I do it for half that.
Yeah, that's what I.
Bobby, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of a cool one because it's almost like an aggregate of everything that we talked about. I mean, what's your reason for wanting to be on YouTube in the first place? Sort of what's your why? I mean, we're all here because Rich is a trailblazer in digital marketing in this industry, you know, and he had the guts to go out there and do that. And we're here because of that. For me, you know, our approach has been, let's just go out and provide as much value as we can and give and give and give and give and just talk about everything we know and not worry about, you know, monetizing on YouTube and that thing. And then the business will build on the back of it. You know what I mean? If we can go out there in the market and just become the experts and build the awareness of being the experts of the stuff that we do every day, then opportunities and doors will open. So it's everything about building your tribe, consistency, everything we've talked about aggregates up to this thing. Just go out there and do and give and be in service to your industry and the community and the clients that you serve, and doors will open and opportunities will open, whether it's sponsorships, whether it's all that different stuff, right? So that's kind of, you know, that's been my approach.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I learned this too. When I first started the YouTube channel, I actually had monetized it. And it got to the point where I was making about like $75 a month, really breaking the bank. But here's what I noticed, and I think it's important to share with all of you, that, you know, people don't like to see ads. Even these targeted ads and stuff like that, it's a turnoff, right? When you're trying to watch a video based on something that you actually want to see. So I found the value wasn't there for me. From the standpoint of, you know, my audience taking the extra 15, 20 seconds, a minute sometimes to watch the ad before they got to my information. So, you know, my advice to anybody starting a YouTube channel is don't even worry about the monetization, really ever. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it. So I was really hoping we were going to have time for this next question, and we do, which is good, because I'm so mad at Ryan. So
You start opening eggs, man.
no,
Try eggs.
man, I'm telling you, I'm just kidding. Good kid. So this is the question. I think it's been asked before, but I'm curious to know from you guys. Are we then in a day and age where it's conceivable to encourage our kids to become YouTube stars? And if so, what age should we introduce that?
Interesting.
Who's a parent up here? All right, we're going to start with Scott. What do you think?
I would love to see my daughter be more active on YouTube. I think I see her watch a lot of stuff and think to myself, you could do a better job of that. But they have to want it. You know, I think that there are more kids out there who want to watch other kids play video games and actually play them themselves. more kids want to watch other girls put makeup on than they want to do it themselves. So I think there's always going to be a generation who's perfectly happy just lying in bed and watching other people do things, even though they could do it themselves. As a parent, I would love to, push her even harder to do it, but at the end of the day, she's got to be comfortable with it. Hitting record and putting your first video up as a child it's a pretty big deal. It's like having a child, get up on stage right now and start, chatting. There's stage fright, and I think once you get over that first hump, it probably becomes more fun when you start seeing people responding to them and people liking them, people leaving comments on it. I think that's probably the best inspiration you can give them, but you just have to get over that first hump. And I think that applies to anyone, grown-ups and kids.
Yeah.
What do you think
What do you think from a discretionary standpoint? As being a young kid, let's say, kids 12 or 13 years old, being on a platform with, 1.9 billion people.
Yeah.
What kind of mindset is that?
It's simple to me. If you don't give enough away about who you are, where you live, I think you can be relatively anonymous on the platform. If you put your channel up under your first name and you're posting where you live, you're going to get problems because people are going to start sending pizzas to your house or other stupid pranks. Nobody can not be found online, but don't make it too easy.
Off the grid isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, you need to let them go a certain amount. Honestly, I don't think YouTube is more different than Snapchat or Instagram or TikTok or any of the other channels they're active on. If somebody really wanted to do harm and find them and troll them, they will. So, yeah.
Bobby, what do you think?
I mean, this is an interesting one. This is something we definitely talk about in our house right now for sure. So I have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and an 8-month-old. For parents, we can show pictures of our kids in the back after this. My 8-year-old can remember the armpit farts that we used to do out by the pool? So he can do like 3 in a row. I don't even know how he does it, but I was like, we got to get you on TikTok doing that. It's interesting. Like I think about this a lot. There was a slide that got put up when Rich was doing the intro, and I think it was a bunch of people reading newspapers, and underneath it was a bunch of people on their phones. I think I saw that and I was like, wow, that speaks to me about our kids, because I think the dangers don't change, right? I think the stuff that we're worried about doesn't change. They don't change. They just come in different forms. So at first, when I saw Jack, our 8-year-old, like on TikTok, and I was like, dude, you're too young for TikTok. You can't be on TikTok. Especially when TikTok at the beginning was like literally just like half naked girls dancing, and now it's like a lot more stuff going on. So I feel better about him being on it every once in a while. But I think I don't think it's about the platform with our kids from this perspective. I just think it's about being good parents. I think it's about wherever your kids go, whether they're going out of the house, whether they're at school, the friends that are influencing them, social media, whatever it is. I just think it's about being good parents and always being in the know about who they're talking to, who's influencing them, what they're doing. And so for me, I was on the other side of the fence at first. I was like freaked out about watching my daughter, who was watching all the makeup videos and all that stuff like incessantly. And at first, it was tough for me, but then I started thinking about, this is the entertainment of the future. These are the platforms of the future. These are the things that, again, going back to the very first question of watching people's behavior now to see what's going to be, in the future, decade from now, whatever. That's how I think of it. I just think that they're going to have opportunities, and the social media today that we're talking about could be different tomorrow, could be different in 5 years. So I just think they're going to have opportunities to follow their passion, their love in whatever form is presented to them. And we need to not get so worried about the dangers of things that we don't know about. I think, so much fear in life is based on the lack of knowledge. And I think if we just educate ourselves and be good parents, I think it can be a safe environment.
Well said. You guys got any thoughts on this?
It's hard for me to answer this just because I have no kids. And I'm not sure what I would do, like what I could imagine doing if I did. For me, I think I'll answer the first part of the question, which was kids being on YouTube just for the sake of being on YouTube and trying to create a future for themselves. For me, YouTube is less of just a job and more of a vehicle to get your talent out, whether it be the armpits, the armpit thing that
Yeah,
Bobby was talking
yeah.
about, or something else, I think they still have to hone some other kind of craft, unless they're going to be video editors or something like that. There still has to be something that their YouTube videos are about. And when they do that and they get good at that, then maybe I guess it's acceptable to create videos about it and to kind of showcase their talents.
100%. Yeah, well said.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the good parent comment. You know, I look at the platforms have connected the world. We've opened the world up to, you know, we're beyond the schoolyard, you know, and how we monitor what is happening with our kids. You know, I mean, I still go back and think, you know, sometimes, you know, a kid just needs to get hit in the mouth. You know, I'm not condoning violence, but we've gotten to a point though where
killing yourself and hitting kids.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You know, but they go, you know, schoolyard, finish it in the schoolyard. Now they go to social media and they do it that way. So, you know, if we're gonna, you know, get our children into these platforms and create a new social being, you know, how do we make sure that they respect the real person behind the social video and all of that sort of stuff? Because there's still a real person behind all this stuff, you know, and, you know, we've got to make sure that we've got that in their brains as they're creating their own content, responding to content, you know, because they're the future leaders of our, you know, our retirement, and we want to make sure that we're in a good spot.
I almost suspected air quotes there, but I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
I think that what you just said was amazing, because it's not just kids, it's us too. Like, we're gonna, like, you know, everyone's gonna leave here and we're all gonna be, you know, we're gonna start posting more content, and people are not, you know, you might not get a lot of views. You know, people might have, like, troll you, you know, say something, you know, disparaging about what you're doing. Yeah, right. So like, I think as much as we need to give ourselves the faculties and the mindset to not be discouraged by that, and to know how to have emotional intelligence to deal with that, and to not allow that to deter us, I think we have to be doing the same thing to the kids, giving them the faculties, giving them the skills to deal with the you know, being online. And the same thing to your point about the schoolyard, the same thing's going to happen in different platforms. I think it just goes back to being good parents and giving him the skills to be able to deal with that stuff. With Mike, not to be like a family thing, right? But like we talk with our kids a lot about mindset. Like, I read the book Mindset. If you guys want to your next book should be Mindset by Carol Dweck. It's absolutely fantastic and life-changing. And it helped me a lot with the content that we create, and it helped me be a better parent, which is, you know, the way that we live our life is 100% predicated on our mindset that we hold for ourselves. You know, if we think that we're not good at something, whether it's creating content, if we think that we're not good at something, whether it be a sport or something social, then we're not going to be good at it, right? But if we believe in ourselves as something that we love, it's something that we fill our soul, it's something that we enjoy doing, then we not need to worry about that. You know, we just need to go out and do and take action.
No, I love that.
Agree. All right, so moving on. Among millennials today, YouTube accounts for 2/3 of premium online video watched across devices. Yes, the other third is porn. That was going to come up eventually. I know somebody was going to ask. But here's the thing, yet 9%, only 9% of small businesses actually use YouTube. Why do you think this is? Eric, why don't we start with you on this one?
I mean, I think it's challenge of the technology, challenge of time, challenge of what do I put out there, you know, and I think I go back to understand who you are, understand what your brand is, and figure out your audience and what's going to connect with them. You know, you've got to do the research. You've got to understand what people really want to see. You know, I mean, it's no fluke that Hollywood keeps making the same movie over and over and over again. You know, they've figured out what we want to see. You know, and so for small businesses, that can be a daunting task. Is to really ask questions of yourself. You know, because a lot of times we don't want to ask questions of ourselves and say, what are we good at? What are we bad at? What do we want to share with the world? You know, so I think once you get through that and understand the technology, then then you're going to take the leap, and they should take the leap. You know, we really are in the continued growth of the digital age. You know, the channels that keep popping up, and I say channels as in video and blog, those types of sort of marketing channels, they keep exponentially growing. And, you know, how we get there and get there first and use them in the best ways that we can is really, you know, something we need to get into.
And I think if you look at the numbers, it's probably no surprise that there's also a large number of small businesses that don't make it past the first year. There's a large number of businesses who have no website. There's a large number of businesses with no presence in social media. And so YouTube is definitely, you know, one of the components, but I think it's just one of the many reasons that small businesses fail. You know, they'll put quite a lot of effort into making a nice sign on the outside of the store, and they'll practice making, you know, grandma's muffins for many years, and they'll open the doors and then ask why the customers aren't showing up. You know, I think small business owners, anyone who's starting any kind of business needs to, you know, get a couple of books, get online, learn a little bit about it, you know, come to events, and just learn, you know, what else do I need to do to make my small business a success. And, you know, YouTube might not be the perfect platform for everything, but, you know, there's always going to be value in having even the most basic presence online of your store, even if it's just you and your iPhone giving somebody a tour of what's in your store and what you're making. That might be all it takes for people to get online, Google you, see the clip, and then come in and buy, buy something. So, you know, it's all just part of failing at marketing, unfortunately.
Great. How many, just out of curiosity, how many people in this room does their company have a YouTube channel? Not bad.
Great.
Not bad.
Yeah. On my end, I think it's a lot to do with barrier to entry. It seems kind of intimidating, YouTube specifically. The barrier to entry on Instagram is you take a picture and you post it. Twitter, you tweet out a couple words, whatever you're thinking. You know, Facebook likewise. I think with YouTube, people see the task of creating a video as something that may be a little bit unattainable if you're a small business and you're already worrying about payroll, you're already worrying about opening the doors on time and all these different things. So I think it's just intimidating a little bit, you know, but it's nothing that you can't learn and just find your own little way to just get started. Like I think Bobby said it earlier, just move past the starting line. So.
Yeah,
iPhones
I mean, that's,
iPhones get better and better each year.
Yeah.
For each, you know, the editing software is on them now. You can do all this stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It reminds me of some dialogue that I think happened earlier between Rich and I think it was Gail. Gail, where are you? Hey, Gail. No, I mean, I thought it was an interesting dialogue because, you know, Rich was mentioning that, you know, his business is very nimble. You know, you said we can do what we want, you know, so he has the autonomy, an Angel, to sort of just go and explore and shoot and go crazy, where with Hobart, I think. So it's like a big ship, right? And it's a big, amazing ship, and the big ships steer a lot slower to come around, you know? So I think it's completely understandable why the metrics are, the data is what it is. But again, just to echo what Angel said, I just think it's just about crossing the starting line. I mean, that's all we did. I mean, we don't have a lot of subscribers at all. We don't have a ton of views at all, but I don't, you know, that stuff, I don't really think about that stuff. I just think about, we crossed the line, we figured out what we like to shoot, we figured out how to shoot it. So we have that, we have the strategy, we're aware of that, and now it's about just building the team and putting the right people together to get more out, more consistency, more quantity. So that's what it's all about. I mean, when you know, in an industry that is seemingly sort of a race to the bottom, you know, Hobart stands up here. You know, there's so much to talk about with that brand. That's you know, fantastic. You know, you get what you pay for. You know, and yeah. the barrier to entry that Angel talked about is not just on YouTube, but it's internally in the companies as well. I think it's proving to the people that make the decisions, to make the investments, and give you the time and the tools and the autonomy to be able to produce the content. And the only way I think you can do that is just to find every avenue and every step, everything you can do to prove that it's something that you need to invest in. I think, you know.
I think we had a comment
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. And I also think to Bobby's point about, you don't, the number of views and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, look at these platforms not as necessarily about today. It's about tomorrow and the next day, because it's a validator. As we look to bring younger eyes into the industry, they're going to go there, and if you have consistency in message and content, they may not watch it, but they'll say, all right, you're actually paying attention to your different channels and how you're going to market with all of this sort of stuff. So if they see a job posting and want to come and be a food service tech, they'll go there and say, all right, yeah, no, they've got content, this is more me, and it's really about building towards the future and getting that validation to continue to grow.
So how important is it to our specific industry then, do you guys think, to be on YouTube or to be involved with YouTube?
I think it's critical. I think it's not just about getting the world to understand what we do as an industry, but it's also showing that this is a high-tech industry that's going to ask you to use your brain in that way. If you want to get dirty, it's going to give you that opportunity. If you want to have independence and not be tied down to the corporate world, it's going to give you that opportunity. It really is a critical step for us to get into YouTube. Not only just talking about why this industry is great, but it's also how is this industry going to evolve, how it learns. So as we bring new people in, we've got to be where they are comfortable with. High school kids, they have online classes now, and they still go to class. And so how do we mesh all of that stuff together and be where we need to be to get those kids into the industry that we so desperately need?
I agree. I think the industry itself is all moving kind of in the direction of technology in general. So I think just being on YouTube or at really any platform is just kind of proof of concept. Like, okay, yeah, we understand technology, at its core level, so we can have a great brand on YouTube. We can be consistent on LinkedIn, and it kind of, like Eric said, it speaks to the future. People who will be learning about this industry in the future, they're going to go do their homework. And if you're not there, I don't think that they'll be as eager to jump into the world.
Necessarily agree that barrier to get on it is that high, because the same person that says, oh, I don't want to get on YouTube because it's so complicated, they're the same ones that are at their kids' football game filming for 25 minutes. So, videos become so easy to make nowadays that the barrier is lower than it ever has been. The quality is better than it ever has been. So the barriers are so much lower. They should be there. Everyone should. But that doesn't necessarily mean you need to run home and just get the first random thought up you can come up with. And so at least think it through, I would say, before you make the jump.
Agree.
Yeah, I think it's critical for sure. I think some of the data that Mike shared earlier I'm reminded of that. It was like, what was it? 1 minute of video view time is equal to 1.8 million hugs or something, or whatever it was, hertz or something like that. I think it, when you look at what like, $300 will buy you from a print publication to, I'm haven't done too much of that for us. Again, it's just more been about crossing the starting line, figuring out which type of content we want to create, start creating it, and let the clay sort of mold from doing that. But I did shoot a video with some chefs in a dinner that we did, actually coming out from NAFM last year. And I put like $150 and $200 in targeted Facebook promotion against it, and it ended up with like over 10,000 views or something. And so that was like $150. You know, what's that going to buy me in the print publication, and who's going to see it and actually flip? So I think the data's there, the metrics are there, and even beyond that, I just think it's a white space. I mean, we're all here because, you know, Rich brought us all here because it's a blank canvas right now in the industry. It really is. So we are the Ryan's toy reviews of the food service industry right now. So I think just the opportunities there, and the opportunities there to be early adopters and to start showing everyone else in the industry how to do it.
Yeah. And to further your point, not to cut you off, sorry, Josh. When you're putting out videos, you get all of the analytics that come along with it. And you get to see who exactly, like down to age range, gender, interests, who exactly is watching your content. And you can cater your content more to the people that are actually paying attention to you in the first place.
That's a great point. That's been something that's interesting for me to see. Like I'll publish a video or just an Instagram post or Instagram story of like something we're doing, and I'll look through, and it's so interesting to see the people that you're sort of passively engaging with that are looking at your content. It's kind of mind blowing. I was like, wow, I would never have talked to that person, and that's so cool that they just viewed and liked our Instagram story post, and it's wild. It's cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Bobby. And we're gonna do a quick Q&A here afterwards, but I want to first thank all of our panelists here. We've got Scott, Angel, Eric, and Bobby. Give it up for them. You guys did an awesome job, a wealth of knowledge. So let's open the floor to